What's going on, everybody? This is MDENT313, and I'm back at y'all with another one. Listen, I just seen the news that Ryan Garcia is opting to go back and train with Eddie Reynoso, which is Canelo Alvarez trainer, right? Now we know the fallout that happened with Ryan Garcia and Eddie Reynoso and Canelo. You know, it was reports that Ryan Garcia didn't want to train. He wanted to train when he wanted to train. He was lazy. He would break camp to go do whatever it is he wanted to go do. And listen, this ain't out the ordinary for superstars to do. As far as, like, you know, we hear stories like that about guys like Dennis Rodman. You know, the guys that like to party. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, in the sport of boxing, if you're not on your A game, it's not a game in there. You can lose your life. We've seen plenty of professional fighters, and recently, right, not the past, but recently, transition from the sport of boxing because they took a lot of damage in there, right? We've seen guys like Adonis Stevenson become permanently disabled from boxing. So boxing is not a sport that you play games with, that you kind of take half serious, right? You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You got to be all the way in or all the way out because it's serious, and you can lose your life, right? And this brings me to my question. When you look at the thumbnail, these are all the fighters that, you know, Derrick James have trained, right? Now, Earl Spence is the only fighter, I believe, that Derrick James trained from beginning to end, right? Well, not beginning to end because Earl Spence is, you know, still fighting, but pretty much trained since the beginning of his career, right? And, you know, when Earl Spence was winning, you know, it seemed like everything was going good. He ended up losing, unfortunately, to Terrence Crawford. As you guys know, I picked Earl Spence. And I'll still pick Earl Spence in a rematch. But he ended up losing. And then you started to hear friction that Earl Spence didn't want to pay Derrick James. I don't know the truth of, you know, I don't know how true that is. I can't verify that. I got to put this up under the allegedly side of the game because it has not been confirmed. It was talks that Derrick James was taking Earl Spence to court. I don't know whatever became of that situation. Who knows? But Jermell Charlo was the first fighter out the camp that, you know, that I noticed that left Derrick James because when he fought, like right after the Canelo fight, and it didn't seem like he was really listening to Derrick James. Derrick James was giving him great advice in the corner, but Jermell Charlo just wasn't implementing Derrick James's game plan. He felt that power, and, you know, it seemed like Jermell Charlo just packed it in. I don't know if it was because he was still, you know, he was coming back off that injury and he was rusty. And once he felt Canelo's power, he kind of wanted to disengage. He was kind of all set from that knockdown. But, you know, from that point on, you know, Jermell Charlo, he ended up leaving. Then you heard that, you know, what was going on with Earl Spence, right? Well, prior to this, I'm getting a little too far ahead of myself. Anthony Joshua was the first one out of all these guys on my thumbnail. He was the first one to leave, but at the same time, that didn't shock me because Anthony Joshua was already well established. He had already been a unified champion. You know, he had already had losses. So he kind of came in, you know, picked Derrick James' brain a little bit, you know, had 1 or 2 fights, and then he took off, right? So that kind of didn't surprise me with Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua kind of wasn't fond of training here in the States, no way. But, you know, that was kind of expected from Anthony Joshua, in my opinion. But the Jermell Charlo and the Earl Spence took me by surprise because Jermell Charlo He left. Oh God. He left Ronnie Shields, and that's who was training pretty much beginning of Jamel and Jamal Charlo's career. And it shocked me that Jamel Charlo left Ronnie Shields to go to Derrick James, but his brother Jamal stayed with Ronnie Shields, right? So I don't know what happened there. I never found out why he left Ronnie Shields or, things of that nature. So I was still kind of shocked because Jamel Charlo seemed like he transformed under Derrick James. It was almost as if he took the boxing ability that he had learned from his previous trainer. He took his boxing skills that he had learned from Ronnie Shields and combined it with the aggressive come forward style that he learned from Derrick James. And he became a complete fighter. He became a phenomenal fighter. He became undisputed. Went on to do great things. So I don't know what happened. I don't know why he left. Oh my God. With Earl Spence, right? Now Earl Spence, he kind of started to fall off because he wasn't really training, like he was supposed to. Earl Spence admitted this himself, right? He admitted that in the Sean Porter fight, prior to the Sean Porter fight, he wasn't training like he was supposed to. He had kind of got comfortable, complacent, lax. So he was beating those guys off just sheer talent. He wasn't no longer putting the work in like he had been. When you hear Earl Spence talk about how he let go of his strength and conditioner trainer, Blu-ray, say Blu-ray was pushing him too hard. So, I don't understand why Derrick James is getting the blame. Oh, God. I don't know why Derrick James is getting the blame. When these guys, Jamel Charlo wasn't listening to him. Anthony Joshua was kind of a fly-by-night guy. Frank Martin is a follower. So whatever Earl Spence is going to do, that's what Frank Martin is going to do. Frank Martin had great success under Derrick James. As soon as he got knocked out by Gervonta Tank Davis his last fight, and all of a sudden he wanted to get away from Derrick James. It's almost like everybody's blaming Derrick James for their losses, but the anomaly in all of this is Ryan Garcia. Because see, when Anthony Joshua was there, he had a couple of tune-up fights because he was coming off, some bad performances, right? So he got a couple of tune-up fights, some easy fights he should have won, and he left. But Ryan Garcia is the anomaly because Earl Spence, Jamel Charlo, and Frank Martin, they all was coming off the biggest fights of their careers, but they was coming off losing those fights. Now with Ryan Garcia, even though we all know he cheated, he was coming off the best win of his career. And all his father said was he didn't think training in Dallas was a good environment, and it just was a lot of negativity there. Who knows what the hell that means? But to me, it sounds like Derrick James is a no-nonsense kind of guy. He wants you to get in shape, stay in shape. Don't have to work your way into shape like Earl Spence admitted to doing when he said he had to put on a sauna suit. Through a lot of that training camp, he spent a good portion of his training camp against Sean Porter losing weight versus actually preparing for the fight, right? So that's not Derrick James's fault, but we living in a day and time, and we living in an era to where hard work and dedication and being tough and stern with these guys, they can't handle that no more, right? Like when you look at some of the all-time great coaches, not all of them, but a good portion of them. Like when you look at a Bobby Knight, right? Somebody that he'd get in your face and he'd get on your ass, right? When you look at a Pat Riley, he'd get in your face and he'd get on your ass. And Chuck Daly from the late great Chuck Daly from the Pistons, same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look in boxing, you got your Floyd Mayweather Sr. He's a little too old to coach now. Your Kevin Cunninghams, your just a lot of no nonsense guys. Your Virgil Hunters. Oh God, your Andre Roziers. Like these guys are no nonsense type of guys. They're kind of tough, militant, stern, aggressive. They expect great things out of you. Like, you're not just gonna show up and do what you want to do under them. But at the same time, that's why I guess a lot of these coaches be having trouble keeping these guys winning, because when they get a certain amount of money, man, it's hard to control these guys at that point. It's kind of like what the legendary Marvin Hagler said, right? It's hard to get up and train like you're supposed to when you're getting off, when you got to get off your silk sheets, right? And it's funny because if you look at the movie Rocky 3, that's what Mickey was telling Rocky. He was like, the worst thing that happened to you, that could happen to any fighter, happened to you. You got settled. And when you no longer got that hunger and that fire and that desire and that grit, it's kind of hard to really go, because now you're not excited about the training camps, you're not excited about preparations, you're not really excited about the process, right? When you get to a certain status and you get all that money, most guys, they just doing it for a check after a while. They no longer hungry. That's why that's why you're gonna, and this not just boxing, this is just in life in general. Damn, my neck hurt. The worst cramp ever. But that's why in life you're not gonna see many very, very successful people, because most of us just don't have that kind of work ethic to be all-time greats at anything. Once most people get comfortable, it's hard to push them to do more. That's why you got very few billionaires, very few millionaires, because you have some people to in my opinion, man, to get to that point, whatever it is you decide to do in life, man, whether it's boxing, football, owning a business, excelling in your career, you gotta love the journey and the process more than you love the destination. Because if all you thinking about is the destination, you're gonna hate the journey so much that the journey is gonna be too tough, physically and mentally, that you never gonna finish the journey, right? And that's why most people end up in this seat that I'm sitting in right now, working a job. Very few people are gonna be able to accomplish what guys like Floyd Mayweather, Roy Jones, or Andre Ward, or Terrence Crawford, or Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, and like the all-time greats, because everybody want great outcomes, but not everybody want to put in great work. And when I look at, if you notice, when you look at the coaches that demand the most out of people, especially in the sport of boxing, if you notice, they don't really have a lot of fighters like that. You may see them have a lot of fighters that's up and coming fighters, but once they become successful, they don't really keep them fighters don't really stay around that long, because now they command big money. They already picked your brain for your knowledge, and now they got a bunch of yes men around them. They don't want to be held accountable no more. They don't want to be pushed to their absolute best and their absolute max. They want to do what they want to do, and they just want to go through the motions, and that's it. And that's what I take from all of this. This is what I take from what's going on with Derrick James. And it's sad, because we live in a society now, right, where not only do people not hold themselves accountable, people don't really hold other people accountable, right? Like, if it's somebody that you like, we live in a day and time where, you're not going to hold that person accountable because you like them, because if you hold them accountable, it's considered hating them. And if you look at what happened to Derrick James, it's sad for Derrick James, because a lot of fighters, because when you see something, and this is with anything, when you see something, everybody gonna be looking at Derrick James like, well, you gotta be doing something wrong for all those great fighters that were champions to leave you. Now, on one hand, that could be true. Maybe Derrick James' coaching style is extremely limited, and he can't teach you certain things. Maybe that's the case. But one thing we do know for sure, he good enough to bring up champions. He's good enough to coach guys into becoming undisputed and unified. We do know that. We do know that he's good enough to push people to the point to where they had their best performances. But unfortunately, if it's people that's looking to train with Derrick James, they're gonna look like, especially if they was looking before, now they're gonna be looking like, well, dang, if all those great fighters left, then why the hell would I go there? But if you a young fighter and you thinking like that, I would strongly urge you to reconsider, because I'm pretty sure after what's going on, if Derrick James was already a motivated guy, you can tell he motivated, because look what kind of shape he keep himself in. He's going to be more motivated than ever to train up a guy to prove that what he accomplished with Earl Spence and Jermell Charlo and all these other guys, that was not a fluke, and that was him. Right? Most of the smart fighters, what they'll do, they won't just leave a trainer. If they fight in a particular style that they have a hard time dealing with, and that their trainer have a hard time preparing them for, what they'll do is they'll pay extra money to add another trainer to that particular camp for that particular fight, or for the next 1 or 2 fights leading up into that fight, to pick that particular trainer's brain to help them. But they won't just all out leave the fighter. Like even guys like Barry Hunter, who's a no-nonsense type of guy, he may not be the most strategic from an X and O perspective, which I think he is a very good coach, but he's a disciplinarian first. And when you have people like, when you training with people like that, even if they are not the best from an X and O strategic perspective, at least in every fight you go in, you're going to be in tip-top shape. And if you are talented and smart enough, you can at least navigate your way through the situation, because at least you're in tip-top shape. But if you just doing whatever you want to do and you're not training like you're supposed to, you're doing just enough to cut weight, you're doing just enough to get in shape, but you're not really pushing yourself, what good is it gonna do you if you have a high IQ level coach, but you ain't got nobody pushing you to the limit, pushing your body to the limit, so that you can perform like you need to perform on fight night? It don't do me no good to be a great mastermind, but when I go implement the game plan, I don't have the physical toughness to get through it, because I ain't training, because I'm eating french fries and chicken nuggets and stuff all the time, and I don't want to run 3 times a day. I don't want to go to the gym and lift weights. I don't want to get up off the bed and do my 200-300 push-ups I need to do. So, I'm wishing the best for not only all these men, with the exception of Ryan Garcia. I hope he absolutely get blasted by Devin Haney in that rematch. That's my guilty pleasure. But for the rest of the fellas on there, I wish you all well. I hope you guys much success, but especially Derrick James. Last but not least, man, Derrick James is the epitome of nice guys finish last in this society. I don't care what arena it's in. It could be a career. It could be owning a business. It could be in sports, as a teammate, as a coach. When you, in this day and time that we living in, when you sacrifice for other people, you got to look at the fact that 80% of the time, it may be in vain. Straight up and down. I mean, straight up and down. No, because nobody in this day and time have any loyalty. But listen, that's all I got on this one, man. Let me know what you guys think about this situation. Put it in the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe.